Hello everyone. Before we start today's video, if you could all do me a solid and lightly tap the like button, perhaps share the video about and leave a comment. If you are not subscribed, subscribe as well. It would greatly help this channel. Thank you very much. Well, isn't this just fantastic? Captain's Log, Subdates 220926.8. Our repositioning over the weekend appears to have helped us in shielding from the, well, that storm thing. I don't know what it was. We decided though that even with the storm, we kept Bork outside. I do wonder if any parts of him remain. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Back on the 18th of May, I made a video on my second channel, a Megon 2 Electric Boogaloo, titled Ezra Miller's Arrest. Less than a month later, more accusations against Ezra Miller. I then switched this and brought it to the main channel, with the title Ezra Miller Out as the Flash on the 21st of June. In early July, Ezra Miller victims speak out. In August, Ezra Miller in even more trouble. Later in that month, Ezra Miller's troubles continue, and finally, Ezra Miller says sorry. 6 videos over a period of 3 months. Considering how active I am, that isn't much, but on a dedicated person that is quite a bit, because Ezra Miller has become quite the lolcow. One could argue it is a form of punching down, but if you are pedantic enough, every time someone puts down another person or criticizes another person, it is always punching down. Let's not do that. Let's just hold each other accountable for our mistakes. In the first video, we discussed how Ezra Miller got arrested in Hawaii, and it turns out Ezra couldn't tap into the Speed Force, or the Obscurus magic power stuff thing. The reason for the arrest in the first place was because of rather, poor behavior on the Flash's part. Attacking patrons, threatening them, storming into their hotel rooms. This was also where, with Takata Iron Eyes, a young person who parents accuse Ezra of grooming, was also put down a fair bit by Ezra, which Takata later said wasn't in fact that at all, but holding her accountable for poor makeup choices. It does get a tad murky. In future videos, it turns out Ezra Miller has been outed as being a bit of a globetrotter with a bad temper and accused of running a form of cult. One patron at an Icelandic bar in Reykjavik was assaulted and put in a chokehold by Ezra Miller after declaring they could take Ezra Miller. Ezra really shouldn't have taken that bait. Ezra Miller should also not have assaulted somebody. And that is what has led to Warner Brothers to be told they really do need to get rid of Ezra Miller as the Flash. But the problem Warner Brothers have is they've invested over $200 million into this. If you include what will be the promotion for it when it's finally released, the movie's going to cost a feckload of money. And even if they put it on something like HBO Plus, or whatever it's called, chances are it won't make back what it cost them to make the film in the first place. And their entire point for having these superhero movies, which I think is late to the game because the fad of superhero movies per se is not as popular as it once was. Marvel have done a fantastic job with Phase 4. They may well have missed the opportunity to capitalize on the popularity of The Flash with Ezra Miller portraying Barry Allen. At this point, you're more likely to have Ezra Miller as the Reverse Flash or Eobard Thawne. Now, I mention all of this because some articles did surface not long after. Those articles are what we are now going to look at. The first one was from the 16th of August. Now, I have already alluded to this in a previous video, where Ezra Miller had stated that they wanted to apologize to everyone they had alarmed with their past behavior. You know, the kind where people think you're running a cult, or that children, infants no less, are chewing bullets on your farm in Vermont. Allegedly, of course. I firmly believe the only reason Ezra Miller sought out the help in the first place was because Ezra Miller knew they were screwed, especially when it comes to their acting career, especially if, say, they were riding on a high and they happened to just take it right over that edge because they thought that for once in their life, they wouldn't have to play the optics game. They were above it. No one is above the game, I can promise you that. But I guess when you are arrogant enough to think that you can do all these things, with all these accusations coming out, and just continue to act like an entitled brat, a bully, a manipulator, and quite the physically coercive dickhead, chances are it's going to bite you on the arse. Quite hard. And it's going to cost you some rather lucrative movies in the future. The Flash would have been the obvious one. If you kept your head down and done your work, you could have gotten more than just a trilogy out of that. The money for that, well, you could have been whoever you wanted afterwards. On the 18th of September 2022, Vanity Fair wrote an article titled Ezra Miller's Messiah Delusions Inside the Flash Star's Dark Spiral. They're one of Hollywood's brightest stars, dead star but brightest sure, and most troubled actors, plural. Amid safety concerns and anxiety over the fate of a $200 million movie, Vanity Fair unearths disturbing new details in a saga of grandiose sermons, guns, drugs, and alleged assaults and grooming. Let me guess, you're about to write an article of things everyone else already knew while trying to give off the impression that this is all fresh information. I'm almost certain there is going to be a Phoebe Buffay meme suitable for that particular remark. Ezra Miller did not, to put it mildly, invoke their right to remain silent. This past March, the actor was arrested in a tiki bar called Margarita Village in Hawaii after shouting profanities, spitting in a patron's face, grabbing a microphone from a woman singing karaoke. Miller claimed to have been accosted by a Nazi and to have evidence. In fact, one of the first things you hear the actor say in the 3-minute police body cam video that circulated was, "I film myself when I get assaulted for NFT crypto art." Look, I was right. The article does do that. But let us scroll down and find something different. Maybe there's something here that will stand out as new information. In interviews, Ezra Miller has long fashioned himself as a Hollywood outsider and queer champion who blurs gender lines and seems to revel in provocation. It's called attention seeking to stoke one's ego. Narcissism being the singular word. Skipping down further, in January this year, in an incident that further alarmed friends and family, Ezra Miller threatened a North Carolina chapter of the KKK in an Instagram video, being quoted as saying, "Look, if y'all want to die, I suggest just unaliving yourselves with your own guns, okay? Otherwise, keep doing exactly what you're doing right now. And you know what I'm talking about. Then, we'll do it for you." That sounds like a threat. Do you want to say hello? Meow. Meow. Yeah. Meow. That particular incident, because Ezra's mother locked all the guns away in a gun safe, gets more interesting when 4 friends went over to Ezra's home to see a bow and arrow pointed at the door and Ezra face down on the floor. By the way, within Ezra's Vermont home is an altar. You put your phones on it and you offer some kind of thanks and prayer to your Lord and Savior, Ezra Miller. We know this because Ezra's kind of demanded that Susan Sarandon pay tribute at their altar because Ezra wasn't invited over for dinner. Now, a former friend of Ezra Miller has actually made headlines because they have said that Ezra Miller suffered a lot of trauma from being in Hollywood, which is mentioned in that Vanity Fair article just hidden under mountains of bumps. The friend themselves detailed complex mental health issues that Ezra Miller said they were going through following several incidents involving the law. If you'd like, I can list all 5 of them for you. Denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and then finally acceptance, or commonly known as the 5 stages of grief, because we have all suffered grief at your hands. That's a crap joke. Now, when it comes to the accusations of cult, it comes down to the fact that Ezra had many partners at the farm, at least 4. Ezra, though, doesn't identify with the word polyamorous, but instead uses an amalgamation of polyamorous and molecule to identify this lifestyle, along with telling everyone there they need to worship Ezra, even when Ezra is having a temper tantrum. But back onto the accusations that Hollywood has abused Ezra. The only one that's indicated is being offered alcohol when they were not old enough to have alcohol. It's not much to go on. I'm not saying it didn't happen, that's not what we're trying to do here. Just that alone isn't enough when you say several instances and provide nothing additionally. And the friends in this article and in the Vanity Fair one itself only really indicate concern for Ezra, at no point standing up to Ezra. And that's one of the key problems Ezra has. They have built up this idea that they are above everyone else, and because of that, there is no version of a reality where they can be in the wrong, which in turn means you as a friend are a crap friend. You're a crap friend because you have not given Ezra that humble pie they so richly deserve. It's quite a bitter one, but you might find in this instance, they might be alright swallowing it. Just saying. What's fascinating really is that all these articles are really late to the game. Those of us on YouTube and on Twitter were on this the moment it happened, and yet many outlets are now starting to report on this honestly. And I mean that in the sense that they left out many details in the past when they were terrified to cover this subject as a whole, whereas now they're more than happy to put it all out there. I assume because once Ezra Miller was dropped, it was okay to stomp until in the ground, right? Beat a dead horse, is that it? Or is it because you know Ezra can't in this instance actually fight back?